Now, when the children can read words that have the Y with an E sound, then they are ready for reading the next level decodable reading books, and in this case, the yellow level Jolly Phonics readers. There are 3 sets, some with Inky Mouse and Her Friends, general fiction, and non-fiction books, and they are all decodable. And this book is about Hetty. The Y has the E sound here, so the children can work the word out for themselves by blending the sounds. H-E. And you can see here what needs to be known before asking a child to read the book. The 42 sounds need to be known and how to blend words that use those sounds. The Y with an E sound, as in funny. The phonic, the new character phonic, the computer, and these new tricky words. There are more words on the pages which can be successfully read. So the children will then see these are tricky words, there and are, and then they have to work out anything they don't know. So lots. So there are lots of hens on Moat Farm. Every morning Farmer Green feeds them with corn. This is Hetty. She is sitting on her nest. From her nest she can see the sacks of corn in the barn. Yum. She crosses to the barn and looks around. Ben and Neb are asleep in the sun. Hetty starts to peck at some corn that has spilled out of the sack. Molly the cat and her kitten Tolly are looking around the barnyard. They stop at the barn and sniff. They can smell, and if they're stuck, something interesting. They pad into the barn and creep along. Tolly stops and sniffs at the sack of corn. Then he pats the sack. In the sack, Hetty feels afraid. She sits as still as she can. Just then, there is a scratching sound. Molly and Tolly look round and see rats. Now here we've got scratching. There's a faint letter here, the faint T, which enables this word to be read. The T isn't pronounced, but later on they learn that when there's another way of writing ch, and that is with a T. They dash to the corner of the barn and the rats run off. Lucky Hetty slips quickly back to the hen house and her nest and eggs. So, nice story. And here are some ideas of encouraging discussion about the story, and with a few comprehension questions. This is a straightforward one. What kind of animal is Hetty? And then a more thought-provoking one. Why does Hetty hide in the sack? Now here are the next 5 alternative spellings of the letter sounds that need to be taught. They have the same sounds as the long vowels that the children learnt earlier, namely A, E, I, O and U. The 2 letters are needed to make these long vowels, and the letters are next to each other. There is a well-known saying about the vowels. When 2 vowels go walking, the first does the talking. So here we have the 2 vowels, and the sound is usually linked to the first vowel, but the second vowel influences the first one. So if the second vowel wasn't there, it nearly always has an A sound. But when it is there, it changes the A to A. E changes to E. I. O. A. U. Similarly, 2 letters are needed to make the long vowel sounds with these hop-over E words, but the letters are not next to each other. There is a consonant in between the 2 vowels, so cake, theme, life, hope, tube, all hop-over E words. Even so, the second vowel influences the first one and changes the sound from the short vowel to the long one. That is why some people refer to these letter sounds as magic E words. Now let me demonstrate on the board. Here we have the word hat. Now if I add an E to it, or in fact any vowel, the so-called magic comes out and changes the A to A. So now it says hate. That works with win. With the vowel, the E behind it, it turns it into wine. Hop is changed into hope, and cub to cube. The children need to understand that the words can be blended in exactly the same way as with these words. So here we have the A hop over E words like game and cave or shave. Here the E hop over E words like here an athlete. This is an interesting one because this often happens with phonics. The magic comes out of the second vowel and changes the first vowel to an E. But it also says its own sound, so event. So it uses its influence but also says its own sound. Here are the I hop over E words, the O hop over E words, even some more complicated ones, explode. Here we've got the U hop over E, duke, tune. But here we go, salute. That's not very easy. Remember, U can be oo. Salute. And there they can work it out. The children just need to have plenty of practice of reading words like these with the hop over E's. There are 20 new tricky words for the children to learn to read and write in Step 4, and they do this in a similar way to the tricky words in Step 3. These are the new tricky words. Continue trying to blend the words and then looking for the awkward bit. That helps with the reading and spelling. Let's look at some of them. Go, that doesn't give us a word. If O doesn't work, try O. Go, that makes sense. Go, no, so. Later on, of course, the children learn that single letter O nearly always has an O sound when it's on its own, but occasionally has an O sound, like in the word tomato. Here we've got my, and the Y has an I sound, and that comes in Step 5, the next one. One, that's very tricky. It should say own, but they've just got to learn that it says one, the N is sensible, that's all. These are fairly straightforward. Then we have, live, and give. This should say have, but English words are not very keen to end on a V, and they tend to just put an E on the end. So they just have to learn it as have. This should say live, and of course we know it does. It can be live or live, and it's only the context of what's being read that will tell a child or anybody whether it's live or live. And then this should say give, but it is give. Here we've got down. The ow has and the ow sound here is written with a OW, and that comes in Step 5, the next step. What, when, why, where, who, which. They all start with WH and have a W sound, although in some accents it's W. The H is kind of pronounced. So they all start with the W or W, except for this word, who, and there's no W there at all. So that's even more tricky, and they just have to be learnt. By analysing the words in this way and then regularly reading them from flashcards or from the board, the children become very familiar with the words, and then they can easily read them. And learning to spell the words is important too. Here are the tricky word spelling sheets for Step 4. The children learn the spellings by writing each word several times, and as they do it, then they test themselves. So here's the go, the odd bit is the O, go, o. And then they write it, go, o. Is it right? Yes. Try again, go, o. Okay, yes, go, o. And so on. And that helps with the children learning to spell them. Dictating a few tricky words at a time is a good way of checking how well the children are learning to spell them. Now, when the 20 tricky words and the 6 new alternative spellings of the letter sounds have been taught, then the children are prepared for reading the green level Jolly Phonics readers. And here we have a story about a bad-tempered goat. And this is what needs to be known to make it a decodable story. We still need these 42 letter sounds and how to blend words that use them. We need the Y with the E sound. We need the hop over E long vowels, A, E, I, O and U, as well as the new 20 tricky words. Now with this knowledge, more words become available for reading and the stories can be even more interesting. And there are many more words on the pages, as you can see. And we are back on the farm with Farmer Green and Molly and Tolly the cats and Ben and Neb the sheepdogs, as well as a bad-tempered goat. And one day the farmer gives the goat some oats. A cheeky robin flies down and pinches some of them. This makes the goat cross, and then the robin flies down and sits on one of the goat's horns, and this makes him even angrier. He runs up and down, stamping his hooves. He thinks he has got rid of the robin, but she starts taunting him from the oak tree, and that is too much. The goat butts the tree trunk so hard that it falls, and falls down on top of the goat. The farmer tries to rescue him, but the tree is too heavy, so he has to get his tractor. The goat is freed, but doesn't get up, so the vet is called. The vet says that the goat is a bit stunned, but will be all right, and maybe this will stop him being so bad-tempered. The goat snorts as grumpily as ever, and the vet says, well, perhaps not, and they have a laugh about it, and it is a very good story. And here are some more questions. So, straightforward question, who steals some of the goat's oats? Or a more thoughtful, provoking one, do you think the goat will be less bad-tempered now? A certain amount of maturity and fluency is needed for these books. If a child is not ready for this level, then use supplementary decodable books, such as these. And we are lucky to have a variety of excellent decodable readers to choose from. It is important to match children to decodable books that are appropriate for the stage they are at. The decodable books should be relatively easy for the children to read and understand, but also have a little challenge in them.